Hello everybody! Welcome back to 17 Carat K-Pop. I'm so ready to introduce you to the wonderful, irreplaceable world of IU. This will double as a primer for new fans, and hopefully just a nice celebration for longtime fans to reminisce about her discography in chronological order. I won't dive super deep into the releases, well, some of them, but if there's more you want me to dive deeper into via Substack or podcast episode, feel free to message me on socials. We can have a part 2, IU part 2, if you like this one. She has such an expansive, quantity and quality-wise, discography that there's just too much to get to make this a deep dive of every era. So I had to pick a couple to focus on, but I will touch on each one. Anyway, enough rambling, let's get started. Quick overview. First of all, who is IU, and why is she so freaking popular? IU is a solo female artist. She's been hands-on with producing as well, more and more over time. She's also an actress, a model, a spokesperson for a bajillion brands, from Pepsi to high-end fashion. She's gained tons of attention, being dubbed South Korea's sweetheart and the nation's little sister. Lots of affectionate nicknames as her popularity in Asia grew. And now in the US, she fills arenas. The name IU was given to her by an agency, a stage name meant to represent I and you coming together, togetherness. Her real name is Lee Jian. She was born in Seoul and started training at a very young age. She really got into both acting and singing very young. So while she was still in elementary school, she was practicing for the big time. So when her debut kind of relatively flopped, I guess you could say, she still had so many years ahead of her to improve and learn from that experience. So I think that benefited her long term. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So while she was still managing homework and the life of a regular student, she had this Hannah Montana side of her, and she was training. She signed with the label in 2007, after many hardships to get there. She had to move in and live with grandparents when her family financially really fell on hard times. So she moved into what was considered a better, financially stable environment, yet that environment that was better was still cockroach infested. So she had kind of a rags to riches story here, being poor, and she got ripped off several times by different scammers. She wanted an entertainment industry career so badly, she may have overlooked red flags. So she fell for several scammers by people who ended up being fake, pretending to have the ability to help her get industry connections, get auditions, get ahead in her career. But they took the money and ran, money that her grandma saved up for her. It's really sad. So things didn't seem to be going well for her, but music really was kind of an early saving grace too, lifting her spirits. She really got the bug for it after she was actually supposed to sing as punishment for talking too much in school, and kind of annoyed the people trying to punish her because she loved it. Moments that were meant to humiliate her, but she didn't mind all the eyes on her. In fact, she craved it. While still in middle school, she trained with Good Entertainment. That's the name of the place, home to classic K-pop boy group Shinhwa. After an official 10-month training period, she made her big debut at just 15 in 2008. Although the album Lost Child came out September 23rd, 2008, her official debut date is considered September 18th. That's when she got her big first music show performance on M Countdown for Lost Child. Lost Child was received in a lukewarm way, to put it nicely. Not exactly well received from the live audience or critics, really. The song definitely made waves, got some big recognition, including by South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. So her potential was acknowledged. On the whole, a very underwhelming, if not harsh or disappointing reception. And honestly, I rewatched Lost Child a couple days ago, and yeah, it is still kind of unnerving, unsettling, just because, I don't know, to see what she's capable of now and see the younger version do that just doesn't suit her the same way. It's so dark, it's so somber, the name Lost Child says it all. I think that kind of darker concept goes over better if you've already established this public image. That we got to see a brighter side of you first. I just feel like the public would have been more here for her darker turns if that was not the first impression. So she might have grown into that more if it was not her debut. Something felt very wrong being put in situations, not inappropriate, I'm just saying something feels wrong with the premise of a lost child. So this young person is put in a video singing a song where she has to act very lost and scared, sad. Just psychologically, you can worry what that acting does to her. So that was disappointing for her and stressful because, like I said, she was also balancing schoolwork with these dreams of stardom. And at first she was rejected before Good Entertainment. 20 times, as a matter of fact. 20 companies she might have debuted in, then didn't. One of them actually is the big three major K-pop company, big four really, but anyway, one of the big companies, JYP Entertainment. And JY Park, the CEO, to this day still says he bitterly regrets not signing IU when they had the chance. In 2009, she released the album Growing Up, with Boo as the main single. A total 180, very, very cutesy, upbeat. Later on, she released another album, several singles, collaborations with Business, Mighty Mouth, Three Perspectives, and landed a TV presenter gig for a weekly music program. So she was getting work and introducing herself to a bigger crowd. Still, there really wasn't that much hype, at least compared to what would happen throughout the 2010s for her. And 2010 was a big breakout year for her. So the flash forward version of her story is starting out kind of rags to riches, very young, innocent, green, taken advantage of, stumbling her way through. Over a decade later, today's IU has those adorable nicknames like the nation's little sister, goes on world tours, has 1.7 million Twitter followers as of recording time, 32.7 million on Instagram. She's now the most streamed female Korean soloist ever on Spotify, with well over 1 billion. Her estimated USD net worth in 2021, 28 million, although another outlet at the same time estimated about anywhere from 31 million to 45 million. She now boasts over 72 writing credits, over 100 award show wins, and over 200 award nominations. She's won so many big grand prizes, so many accolades, plus she made Rolling Stone's list of the 200 greatest singers of all time. So why did that happen and how? 2010 is when she really started to show the world who she really is, not the image her company may have at first projected out there. 2010 is when Good Day came out. One of her best songs ever, honestly, my opinion. Good Day is the song that really got her to be called Korea's sweetheart. People were amazed by her 3-octave range, the way she showed this just impressive mix of vocal prowess and delicateness. A really pretty tone, yet very versatile, powerful voice too. Good Day also just had a big, fun, fuller sound, and more character to the video too. There's quite a funny moment. She's trying to muster up the courage to tell her crush she likes him. The parrot does it for her. She brought the parrot to catch his eye, which she did but didn't think about, oh, now the parrot's going to say Oppa and stuff, repeating back what I've been saying in private. It's a very short-sighted, childlike way to view the world. Just, ooh, I'll catch his attention with this parrot. What could go wrong? Hence the little sister nickname. I think one source of her appeal has always been keeping front and center her age. Like a lot of official album and video descriptions of hers do refer to like, this is an ode to her 20s. This is a snapshot of a 16-year-old girl's view. This song is the mindset of a 17-year-old. This is about growing pains. It's very overt. And she has many songs with lyrics directly saying, I'm 23, I'm 25, you get the picture. I've thought about 5 main reasons IU got so big. And one is just that raw talent, the vocal talent, that she benefited from cultivating starting so young. More time to fall and get back up. And have her mistakes forgiven, because that's easier to do with a young performer. Second of all, it's that marketing with her age front and center, because the thought of growing up alongside an artist helps you connect with their music more. So she kept front of mind for listeners and viewers the way they were growing up together, like peers. As she evolved and got to show more sides of herself through music to people, they could feel like they were getting to know a friend more, getting closer than they used to as they got to see new sides of their friend organically blossom. I also think she's often cultivated that sense of intimate conversation with her audiences because of her formatting. Era after era, she's had songs that have this diary entry feel to them, or like she's whispering to you. I mean, recently she released a song called Shush, SHH, like she's letting you in on a secret. A lot of songs have that incredulous, did you know, gossipy feel to them. The lyrics, the delivery, it all feels like she's letting you in on special information, telling a story to you personally, face to face, person to person. So she's been really good at that, which I think comes from number 3 on my list of reasons why she got so big, her increased hands-on work. She actually really did thrive after she stopped just taking the material given to her. People can sniff out inauthenticity, and she really came into her own, got way more hands-on with production, behind-the-scenes parts of the process of making albums as she aged. So it's her authenticity, her raw talent, her storytelling, smarts. I would also say the range, genre-wise, it's very spillover into every direction. She's also got a second audience through TV, genre-spanning acting gigs too, and the ubiquity, because hype does build on itself. So when people started saying, especially in the latter half of the 2010s, why is IU so popular? The response is, I don't know, let me check her out. And then being like, oh, I get it. And then more people say why she's so popular, and it snowballs. So the hype built on itself, the buzz built on itself, and I think the bottom line is that it did thanks to her, showing more genuineness and sticking to it, that motivation long-term to bring this true dream to life. Her hard work has been paying off. One more reason I think she went from meh to being received super warmly, her humbleness. She's known for donating so much money all the time to a bunch of charitable causes. Her fan meeting proceeds have been donations since 2011. She's also repped a ton of really good organizations, like anti-bullying ones. She got recognized on Taxpayer Day, a special thing in South Korea where they recognize the best taxpayers in terms of best, do good, in terms of where your money's going. She donated over 100 million won, which in USD is tens of thousands of dollars, at the start of the COVID pandemic for masks and other supplies to go to South Korea. She's very aware of tragedies in the world around her and has directed her money accordingly. So her upbringing, I think, inspired her to give back, as did the fact she's always been in this for the right reasons. Her genuine passion for it has made sure she keeps her head on straight. Back to talking about her discography, which really, I would argue, got better 2011 onwards. Although she released some really solid work too after Good Day, First Love, Nitpicking, It's You. She also got to hit the stage with Corinne Bailey Rae, an artist she had a long time fondness for. 2011 was jam-packed. I would say her most memorable moment was, two of them. One was the Marshmallow video featuring Zico. The team wrote that song specifically with her in mind. It was a super goofy video, but she pulled it off. A 60s-inspired song that was also French pop meets old school rock and roll. A perfect summation of her genre mixing. You can't put her music in a box. The second best moment, I think, musically that year, was You and I. She released a very whimsical, time travel themed music video that had a lot of cool, not common for K-pop touches. The harp and the horn, the storytelling in general, and the switches between the major and minor keys really did what Good Day did to prove her octaves and stuff are just so expansive and impressive. Seeing the future, it seems, the official description promoting her OST, You Were Always Like That, said she was an up-and-comer, quote, ready to surpass Wonder Girls and Girls' Generation, unquote, and I think she did eventually. That year she scored a TV drama debut with Dream High. She released quite a few songs, Ice Flower, Hold My Hand, which was her first self-composed one. It was for a rom-com. The Real repackage, Real Plus, was out that February. Then towards the end of the year, she released Last Fantasy, which won Record of the Year at the Seoul Music Awards. And was followed up with her signing with EMI Music Japan. That year also had, this is a weird flashback, the short-lived show Kim Yuna's Kiss and Cry. It was a short-lived skating show of sorts. Dancing with the Stars, but ice skating, sort of. Anyway, she was on that show with from TVXQ, Crystal from FX. That really takes me back. So summer 2011, ice skating and a bunch of music. Fall 2011, big new era, signing with EMI Japan and starting the Last Fantasy era. And then 2012 started the Real Fantasy Tour, which really got her live music popularity started. The Real Fantasy Tour first got buzz because 71% of ticket purchasers were male. That was very rare at the time for a K-pop concert. I don't have the data with me, but I would be very curious what that's like now. On average, I would guess it's more 50-50, way more 50-50 at least, than it used to be. K-pop crowds overall. Anyway, Real Fantasy tickets sold out in the first half hour. Her popularity grew a lot that year in Japan, when she got her first #1 hit in that country, Every End of the Day, an up-tempo song that suited her quite well. That year she also got to release new Japanese lyric-filled versions of Good Day and You and I. Plus she went on a mini 5-city tour in Japan, adorably called IU Friendship Showcase. While gaining support in Japan, South Korea was getting more proud of her too, and she won 3 Korean Music Awards that year. She released Like You with Wanted that year as well, plus she joined Fave Entertainment. Big moves were happening. I would say though, this year what I would pinpoint is the big moments for her musically. Mainly I would say the Spring of a 20-year-old. The Spring of 20 era showed a new way proved her dexterity in storytelling formats. Because instead of a regular video rollout, she went with a mini movie. A short film featuring Peach and Every End of the Day as the soundtracks for these scenes, filmed in Venice and Burano. So location-wise and stylistically, she chose to prove she had more tricks up her sleeve. Over time, too, her range of talents when it comes to instruments she plays and languages she speaks, those things I think really also help people see, wow, this is a really multifaceted entertainer and therefore she stays very interesting. So when other stars came and went, she still had more to show. 2013, she got an MC position with music show Inkigayo for the first half of the year at least. She released a new Japanese EP, Can You Hear Me? Went on the Modern Times tour, had some acting gigs, including Bellamy and You Are the Best, which actually her character in was scammed, like she was IRL. She also recorded a song that she co-composed with a co-star, but it didn't make the official soundtrack. The thing I want to pinpoint about her 2013 music, the Red Shoes. Her Modern Times era, to me, truly one of her best ever. This was a big moment. You and I would say was the first big moment where I saw why she's a big deal. Like, oh, I get it. The Red Shoes was the second. Modern Times showed off her ambition to do more herself. She composed and wrote 2 of the songs. Her range, again, because this album was just everywhere. Acoustic ballads, Latin pop, swing music, bossa nova, folk, electronic. Bad Day was a great self-written ballad. The expanded edition had Friday, a great acoustic pop edition. She spent 9 months making it. In K-pop years, that's significant. And she really took her time, and it did indeed, I would say, age like fine wine. The standout really was the Red Shoes. It's a big band song, full and big, cabaret style. It also just has sentimental value for K-pop fans because while promoting the Red Shoes, that's when she famously met V from BTS. They got to know each other after he was a Music Bank special MC. 2013 was quite a year for K-pop history. So Red Shoes was a big moment just for the behind-the-scenes context of K-pop history being made, for the big band sound made with some iconic artists like Kazuhiko Toyama, proving, yeah, I can conquer any genre, and the music video. The video, again, showed that she was willing to switch up the format she performed in. This time, she played the character in a black and white old movie within the movie. So within the music video, there was a movie being projected that was her dancing up a storm in her red shoes. We talked about this probably literally years ago on the show, so I'll refresh your memory. The Red Shoes is a strange, but worthwhile, worth knowing, I would say, thought-provoking story from 1948 by Hans Christian Andersen. It's a classic story about a poor girl who gets adopted by a rich woman, then lives lavishly. She asks her new rich mom to get her a new pair of shoes, which she does and says, don't wear them to church. The girl wears them to church, and she gets in trouble because she can't stop dancing literally when she wears them. So like she even skips a funeral because she can't go places. She can't do much because it's out of her control. These shoes won't stop dancing. So the moral of the story, is listen to your parents. It's a gruesome twist when Karen, the main character here, asks an executioner to cut off her feet to knock this off because they're magic so that they'll never stop dancing unless she parts with them. And her feet get cut off, but they still keep dancing in those shoes, just by themselves. Every time Karen would then enter church, the shoes would block her way from fully doing so. After a couple weeks of being basically tormented by these shoes, even though they're physically apart now, Karen prays for forgiveness and mercy. An angel appears and agrees and takes her soul up to heaven. So basically it's about a girl dying after getting conceited and thinking, I need the coolest, best, newest shoes instead of my old ones. Lots to read into there. Classic Hans Christian Andersen tale, though, that's always darker than you remember it. There are notable lines in the British film, quote, it is the story of a girl who is devoured by an ambition to attend a dance in a pair of red shoes. She gets the shoes, goes to the dance, and at first all is well, and she is very happy. At the end of the evening, she gets tired and wants to go home. But the red shoes are not tired. In fact, the red shoes are never tired. They dance out into the streets, they dance over the mountains and valleys, through fields and forest, through night and day. Time rushes by, love rushes by, life rushes by, but the shoes dance on. Unquote. Another lesson then besides karma for impulsiveness and vanity is everything's better in moderation. So don't make your whole identity, your sense of worth, get wrapped up in one item or one status symbol, one facet of identity. Don't make wealth and symbols of it your indicator of worth. I'll link to some reading about this deeper meaning on my site, as always. It is very interesting. The color red is also read into, no pun intended, because it's come to represent everything, from blood to fire, often taboo topics, and often associated with female characters. So quite a history just with the red, not just the shoe aspect of this. So a really great classic story to use as a jumping off point for a music video with ambiguous meaning. In Ayu's video, inspired by the story, she has a pink pair of shoes too. She's not solely relying on and valuing the red ones. She lives in a literally black and white world, and she spends some time back in color in the video. But the dancing shoes are what really lure her back into the black and white world after a reprieve. Lyrics include, they say you can go to better places if you wear better shoes. IU found a more charming and much less gruesome way to send home the same message as the OG story of pretty much get your priorities straight and embrace all of life. Don't have tunnel vision for one ideal view of finding value in life. Her storytelling continued getting more complex and interesting. 2014 we're going to kind of gloss over a bit, although it was a big year for her still. She had her big KCON American event debut. She got really big for covers that year because she released a bunch of 80s and 90s covers in what was called A Flower Bookmark. A Flower Bookmark, the sequel, came out in 2017, and that was expanded, and I would argue better. It had more decades covered, more styles. So that year she proved to be a cover queen and made a splash in the US. She also teamed up with High 4 for a song, Ooh La La Session. It was a year of collaborating and, again, having hype build on itself. Good promo year. Plus, she had a special intimate 8-show run that spring, with tickets selling out for all of it in 10 minutes. First big moment where I thought, I see her potential, I see why people love her. You and I. Second big one, the red shoes. Third, 23, the single from the Chatshire era. The Chatshire album is when IU really got more hands-on with everything about making her own music. She composed 5 songs on it, wrote 7, plus 2 bonus tracks, got an executive producer credit, and again, was helping people get excited and proud of her and happy for her along the journey, reminding them, yeah, I'm 23 now, and look what I can do now. The premise of the album was a place, she described it as like a little town, an auditory story where everything is within walking distance, basically, from the other characters in a shared fictional realm. One of the characters who did appear on the album cover drew some controversy. It's a 5-year-old main character called Zizi from My Sweet Orange Tree by Jose Moro de Vasconcelos. The story's super meaningful and special, but the way it was depicted on the cover and the way the lyrics were read as sexualizing this 5-year-old character caused quite a stir. But she issued a statement apologizing, saying she didn't mean it like that. This character she was inspired by, she was just trying to depict while tapping into that sense of imagination upon which the story is based. It is quite a deep story, even though it's for younger readers. It's a non-chronological, unique way to tell a story about growing up, and the long and short of it is the unnamed character befriends a tree, which he names Pinky, and befriends a human. All the while trying to win affection from others, but being ignored or reprimanded for his naughty pranks. But he's just acting out because he's a little kid and he needs attention, validation, someone to show him empathy and caring. I guess today's theme is dark twists because in that story, his human friend dies in a train accident. Funnily enough, a couple years later, IU had a really big symbolic train scene in a music video. Pretty sure it's unrelated. Anyway, the main character then is traumatized by the death of his friend. This trauma blocks his ability to communicate with the tree. He magically had the ability to talk to that tree before PTSD. It's really a story of love, loss, and how in a child's mind, an imaginary relationship and an IRL person one can carry just as much meaning and just as much true love and equal pain after it's over. It's about the need for children to be seen and heard and loved, even if it's kind of manufactured by their imaginations. That sense of needing validation, that imagination, it has some parallels to Alice in Wonderland, which is what the whole 23 videos inspired by. This whole Chatshire era too, the Cheshire Cat inspo everywhere. Throughout the video, it's a mix of 2D animation and 4D scenes. It's very whimsical, moves in a bunch of unexpected directions, color-wise, aesthetically, and how she tells the story, acting-wise. So I say this was a big moment for her, not because of the controversy, but because of her willingness to use an old book as another springboard for another fictional world-building session. And then her ambition to mix it with another classic fairy tale of sorts, Alice in Wonderland. Stories with profound meaning within a bunch of nonsensical, imaginary misadventures. A quirky, youthful mix of stories that she reinterpreted in her own way. This negative attention didn't really derail much for her, and she kept on thriving. She signed with Warner Music Taiwan that December, and also won 2015's GQ Korea Woman of the Year honor. 2016, relatively a quiet year for her, which means still a ton of stuff, just not a new album. She launched a scholarship at her former high school, super meaningful when you think about how she used to go to high school while trying to make it as a star, and now she could give back. Meanwhile, her Taiwan show sold out now in 2 minutes. So it went from a half hour to 10 minutes before selling out to 2 minutes before a show sold out. Moon Lovers was one of her acting gigs that year. She also started a tour, the 24 Steps Tour, again, reminding people of her age and how you're seeing her grow up. Also that year, the song Choice came out. My favorite musical moments of hers in 2017, I actually have 3. One is the release of Palette. We'll talk more about that in a second. One is the B-side ending scene with lyrics like, "You have the right to become happier," and "I hope you meet someone who will love you more than you do." Just really earnest, touching, evergreen sentiments about gotta value yourself more. So ending scene, Palette. The other big moment in my book, Love Story with Epic High. They would later team up again with her as the main protagonist in a different music video. Always expect, no pun intended, epicness when IU teams up with Epic High. Big deal. The song Love Story truly is one of my favorite Epic High songs ever. That was the same era as Here Come the Regrets with Lee High. That was the same era as Bleed. That was a year Epic High was really just killing it. They knew what they were doing. Other songs released that year. There was Autumn Morning. That was a surprise in honor of her 9 years since debut celebration. Can't Love You Anymore, Everybody Knows the Secret, Cat, quite a few collaborations. But her big moment, which brought her first US Billboard World Album Chart #1 and got her another executive producer album credit, Palette. It really did show her ability to make her music feel intimate and person to person, as she confided in you in songs like Palette, just listing stuff really, just casually talking to you, nothing pretentious, just assessing and telling you like it is. I'm truly fine, she sings. I got this, I'm 25, I've learned what I like, what I don't like, let me list some things about me. It's a get to know me song. And her ability to release Get to Know Me song updates year after year is part of the interest in her staying. She tells us how she is, and that's appreciated once you formed that emotional investment in her story. Notably in that song, the featured iconic artist, G-Dragon, calls her by her birth name, not her stage name, adding to that personal touch. As does the fact she starts the album with a song whose title is her Instagram handle, DLWLRMA. It seems nonsensical, but meaningful the fact she starts this story updating you on her life with her Instagram handle. That's the main social media account through which she interacts with fans. It's overall a just between us theme that was fittingly named Palette, showing off her many colors from the disco-tinged B-side Jam Jam to beautiful ballads like I said, Ending Scene. 2018, my favorite moment from her, BB, an alt R&B song she released October of 2018. It had a really symbolism-filled music video with really funny, sassy lyrics, a very cavalier but biting attitude, another cool evolution in her tone and her storytelling. She kind of flips the script and celebrates her 10 years since debut by switching sides. So there's a video scene where she mocks paparazzi, looking out her own window with binoculars, throwing away papers. She stares right at the camera to say, "Not my business." A lot of lyrics are scrutinizing someone, like a celebrity like her, like why is she like that, why does she look like that, what's going on, speculating. She essentially puts them on hold. Like, I can't deal with you right now, I don't have the energy, leave a message. Which is why the song's called BB, BBI, BBI. It's meant to sound like the beeping sound when you have to leave a voicemail. I love this line so much about hello stoopy ID, the way it rhymed with the other line. And it's just so funny, a way to talk about this yellow card penalty she gives the people on her bad side. Your yellow card is your stoopy ID. It's so punny, I just love it. Anyway, the song went platinum, very exciting. And she had a very yellow-filled video for Soulmate. Not sure if that color symbolism was intended, but interesting. That same year she released Soulmate with Zico. It's a very cute video, the way they wave to each other with their fingers instead of full hand. Look, you see it and you are endeared by it. Also that year she acted in My Mister. She released a song called Fairy Tale and went on tour again. Her big moment in 2019 was for Blooming, especially after the color symbolism heavy BB video, following it up with Blooming, BLUEMING, and that color symbolism. That was a smart update. She also used the promo around it as an opportunity in an award show acceptance speech to tease the upcoming celebrity era. She went on the Love Poem tour. The tour title was Love, Poem. The album just Love Poem. Either way, it does feel, again, like she's making sure her music is conveyed as if it's a personal letter to you, a personal confessional thing. That year, the main thing, besides Blooming, that I want to shout out is her acting in Persona. She was also great in Hotel de Luna. Stream Taeyeon's OST from it. Anyway, Persona had 4 different directors, 4 short stories, 4 separate short films as part of season 1. And IU was in all 4. That became the 6th most popular program on Netflix that year in Korea, number 6 on the list. So Netflix gave her a big boost of global recognition, which was built on with 2020. She signed with new management at the start of the year with EDAM Entertainment, then released a very big hit single, 8 with Suga. That was super interesting because it really did harken back to so many past IU eras through the same release. There's a metaphor in there about an orange sun, an orange island too, reminding me of the orange tree story she had drawn inspo from. Plus, it was a return to her style of the Chatshire era, where animated scenes interrupt the IRL scenes. The merging of animated and not animated acting scenes, the metaphor usage, the way fans thought it was a tribute to Sully, her late friend, made it extra touching. They figured the girl, the cartoon girl, in the white dress might be meant to be her. It wouldn't be the first time. Past songs that were thought to be about her were Red Queen, Peach. It was also a throwback, fittingly because of a time travel concept that brought back the memory of you and I. So in a lot of ways it was new for her, but also very nostalgic. And even with the title 8, she's in the past name songs referencing her age. This one, it's like she went back in time and her younger self is the speaker. The song became the 5th most watched video in Korea that year and broke BTS's record they had for On for most unique first-hour listeners on Melon. That year she also released Small Room with Sweet Sorrow, but frankly, 8 was the standout of the year. 2021, the Lilac era, which kicked off with pre-release Celebrity. Celebrity, again, she intended to be marketed as a letter to a friend. Very overtly, she said this was a reminder to a friend that if she says, "Oh, I'm not as cool as you, I'm not like a celebrity," that's a compliment. Embrace it. Don't worry about being a celebrity. Reassess what you define as worthy. It's a good song because it's a bubblegummy, light feel, but dark, deeper lyrics to read into. I love the juxtaposition. Lots of pastels and cute outfits in the video while she sings about imposter syndrome, needing to give herself a pep talk, the pressures of fame. The video and song are about being treated like a princess and the downside of that people forget. The song was a real standout because also it showed an evolution. Like parts of the song are very reminiscent of her past again, like the lyric about not being fully bloomed, like in the blooming era. But then lyrics are about a hopeful future, like how she hopes that flowers will bloom again, even in cracks in the ground, if you let them. So give it time, you can re-blossom. The song, deservedly, was certified platinum after topping multiple South Korean charts. Then in March came the Lilac EP. This was the next moment where I thought, this is why people love her. I loved the Lilac era. She plunged herself into a different character role for each video. And quite a few videos went with this. So it's like the Netflix Persona show gave her an itch in to tell multiple stories in one body of work, because it's like episodes of a TV show, standalone episodes of like an anthology show, were for this era. Lots of visuals to go with it. Lilac had this beautiful pastel aesthetic and a cute animated mid-show scene. Epilogue asked a lot of questions. In the video, she's just kind of standing there, smoke surrounding her, contemplating things. So she gave it a visual, but did, rightfully I would argue, keep the focus on the lyrics. The questions to herself about, was this worth it? Were you happy to know me? How do you think about me now? Reflecting on the past, present, and future. It made me think about some of her many past thought-provoking interview comments when she's talked about loneliness and making music about it, trying to pin down its opposite. She once thought the opposite of loneliness was elation, but then she went on to believe it was focus, because when you're focused, you can't be lonely. An interesting new take as she grew up that's worth reflecting on. What's the true opposite of loneliness? Is it focus? Is it joy? Can there be joy in the loneliness? Then there was the fun, cocky gambler persona of the coin video, the dance-focused flu. Such a good era. Even the B-sides had different characters to them. The reggae-tinged troll, the 80s-style ballad, High Spring By. That year was a really good one for visual storytelling, for her with other projects too. Strawberry Moon came out, and that was such a cute video. Its video was like a magic carpet ride, but different color scheme and better lyrics than the ones Aladdin came up with. And Naka, a video for a song she did with Akmu, has a really thought-provoking video, especially in the context of the weird alternate reality videos that Akmu released for that era. Akmu was really killing it in 2021. Love that era from them too. And she showed off even more pieces of herself, pun intended, at the end of the year, December 29th, with Pieces. Back to talking about Lilac for a second, because that video is what she took inspiration from Old Boy about. Old Boy is an action thriller from 2003. It's part of the Vengeance trilogy with Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance. It's a new twist on a revenge story. It's about this businessman who's stuck in a hotel hostage for 15 years. He can't find out who put him here or why he's here, but he's trapped for 15 years. He learns things about his life, like his wife was murdered, from the news, from watching TV. He hears indirectly about tons of other bombshells in his personal life, the personal life he can't live right now. Eventually, he does find out who did this to him. And the guy says, "You caught me. If you figure out why, if you find the motive why I did this to you in 5 days, then he'll just kill himself." The villain guy here. If he doesn't figure it out, he'll kill the captive. There are a lot of dark, gory twists after that I really don't want to get into, but it's quite a sprawling thriller. What does this have to do with IU? She put her own spin for sure on this famous scene on a train. There's this corridor train fight scene that was done in one take. It took 3 days to work on though. They used CGI for only one detail, a stabbing. Besides that, it was all not CGI, real action. Not just cinematography-wise, inspiration-wise, but how it was about kind of winning. In that case, it was winning a fight. But in her case, it was winning people over with her charms as they rode the train to a new beginning in springtime. 2022. That's when she released Ganadara with Jay Park. In my honest opinion, zero chemistry, did not care for that. That year, her acting gigs included Broker, a movie that got rave reviews. She won a Visionary Award from CJENM, and she went on the Golden Hour Tour, becoming the first female Korean artist to perform at Seoul Olympic Stadium. Yeah, look how far she came. Her big standout moment in 2023, I would say, was People Part 2 with August D. Yes, she worked with him under his Suga stage name. Now she worked with his rap alter ego with People Part 2. A song actually Jungkook recorded vocals for, but he decided to step aside and have a non-BTS member add a new flavor to the song. Suga/August D and IU really are compatible. Their stories mine similar emotional wells, reflecting on what prompts loss, the nature of love and loss, the way that things that feel so strong can go away in an instant. I love their sandcastle metaphor about those sturdy forces, the ways love is built up delicately but can still fall apart in 1 second, even by something seemingly calm like a wave. Really deep song, but I love the lyrics. It talks about self-sabotage in relationships. It's full of really thought-provoking, visualization prompting framing. And it has cool follow-up comments to the song People by August D. It's like an annotated sequel. That year she also appeared in Dream as an actress. 2024, already huge for her. It's been the winning era, literally called The Winning. Much like her past eras have been like diaries from specific moments in her life, The Winning has been a look at very specific stories, but kind of anthology style again, unrelated to each other, but still all connected, about being about this point in her life and one same central question she's been pondering, which is, what is winning? How do you define winning? What makes you feel like a winner? What does winning look like to you? In the pre-release Love Wins All, where she teamed up with V from BTS, who she met all those years ago, she's in this post-apocalyptic world, trying to find happiness and feeling like a winner by spending time with her lover and using her imagination. Like, they pretend they're eating decadent desserts, despite it being garbage because it's the end of the world. They pretend to be in other ideal moments when really what's happening is dark, ominous. So one symbol is the camera, because through the camera lens, it looks like things transform into what they're imagining them to be. So the scene is literally like seen through a new rosy lens. But the other symbol is a clothes pile, which is quite a contrast. The clothes pile is about leaving the past as it was, wrinkled, disheveled, no longer of use really, practically, just thrown onto a pile, messily. Whereas the camera is capturing things as they wish they were, not leaving memories as they really were, but sweetening them. So that dual way of approaching memory is really interesting. The other character she plays through the EP's corresponding videos includes someone who feels like a winner if she gets revenge, with the song Shush, SHH, Very much in that let me tell you a secret voice. She literally says, I have an old tale, known by everyone and no one at the same time. Her name is Shush. It's an ambiguous video to go with it, starring the actress Tang Wei. So winning is finding out the secret, becoming better, knowing the formula to become better than your enemy or who you envy. Winning could be material things, gifts, which is what the shopper video is about. A whimsical, magical auction about kind of letting yourself be treated, indulging. DPR Ian is in the video and has the opening monologue setting the scene about this quote-unquote extraordinary shop where IU hides prizes that will magically go to the people they were meant to. It really brought back a bit of the Chatshire era feeling to me. Not really for any specific reason, just a vibe, a sense of whimsy and like I'm watching a kid's movie feel to it. Winning could also look like the opposite of material things. Attaining just freedom, a sense of not needing any material things, to feel content. In the song Holsi, the Korean word for spore, she sings about being okay not being a flower anymore either, just being a dandelion spore. Again, we're seeing a natural evolution in her train of thought as she gets older. Maybe it's okay not to bloom, just be happy as a spore, floating where the wind carries you, always ready to start anew, take root elsewhere. You'll blossom somehow, some way, no matter what. And you don't need a path. Maybe it's more exciting, actually, because a flower has a set place it's going to grow. A spore could end up anywhere. She sings about not being afraid of heights, not letting herself feel obligated to be locked down in any set future path. And she ends with, see ya, like, whatever, good luck out there. I'm doing me, you do you. So with just a couple songs, she played a very compassionate, fun character, a very free-spirited one who holds a big grudge, and one dealing with a dystopia. The one song without a video, at least as of recording time, I Stan You. I Stan You, get it? She sings about being in your audience to root for you no matter what. So she went from the celebrity era, talking about what it feels like to be in the spotlight, to singing about being a fan, standing someone, what it feels like on that side. Her whole discography is all about kind of helping you put yourself in different shoes, as she does too, as you navigate this world together and find your identity. I love the bridge. It sums up so much of her discography's lessons. Quote, the moment the curtain rises, I hope you remain a bit naive. Play like a child in the center of the stage. Just be yourself, soar high. Unquote. That playfulness is what it comes down to, and why I think IU is just so likable and admirable. Her inner child is still intact. That imagination, that zest for diverse, colorful storytelling, it keeps her a winner indeed. Now what? Well, as of recording time, she's set to star in a new show, When Life Gives You Tangerines, which is quite funny for her. She has in the past expressed a desire to open up someday a big public studio, public live music venue, a place where people could go to make or sing music. I hope that dream comes true for her someday, like a cafe setup or something. And she's on her world tour, so that's huge for her. Really exciting to think of getting to see her storytelling come to life on stage. Really, she has a larger-than-life presence. So I hope this episode helped you familiarize yourself with the person and the persona of IU, and her multitudes and her just really well-done, unique musical approach. Now I hope you understand why people love her so much. What a story, what a career, and it still feels like it's just getting started. Hope you enjoyed. Support IU, stan IU. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you all again before you know it. Bye everybody.